Hey everybody, Corona Davis D up here with Black Filmmakers Matter, and today we have the most gorgeous. You should see this woman smile, Destinee Stewart. Hey Destinee, how are you, lady?
Hi, Corona. How are you? I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm
Hey,
actually awesome. I'm stuttering, but I'm awesome.
flowers right up at the top. I want to give you your flowers. Thank you for having me on. We've been talking for a few moments, and I'm
Mhm.
already feeling very warm, very welcomed, and supported just by you showing up here. So thank you so much.
Aw, thank you, sweet pea. um, Filmmaking. How
Yes,
old
film.
were you when you knew filmmaking?
Like when I knew filmmaking was like a thing,
Yeah, it
or
was
that I
it.
wanted to
Like
do it.
you wanted to do that.
I did not know I wanted to be a filmmaker until I directed my first short film.
Okay,
I
can you tell me? Okay.
Yeah, as a child, I loved movies and I loved actors, and it was definitely like an inkling of like, oh, I want to be an actor one day. But being Black in a very religious conservative family, they were like, you're not going to school for arts. That's not happening. You're going for business. And so that dream was definitely taken away. But then I started acting after I had this quarter life crisis in my mid 20s. And out of that crisis of trying to get back to me and trying to get my mental and emotional stability back, I started taking an acting class. And then through that, I started just refining my love of films, and I was studying actors, and that led me to studying the writing and transcribing the scenes. And I would transcribe a lot of Rodrigo Garcia. I
Okay.
would just transcribe all of his films. And then I was like, well, let me just change this because I need to work on this as an actor. And then that exercise turned into me just writing what I needed. And then I wanted to shoot something for real. I hired a DP out of UT Austin, and he was so encouraging and so patient and graceful with me and generous. And he took me through the whole process. And he was like, you can just do this. You know how to act. Like, you don't have to waste the money getting a director. Like, we'll just do this. And he taught me a lot. And through that process, and when it was done, I was like, this was a lot more fun than what I thought. And so
Okay.
after that, I just wrote a bunch of different scenes, some short, some long. And then me and all my acting friends would get together and I would just practice directing them and filming it. And I did a bunch of those. And then I was like, I feel ready for the world.
Okay.
Yeah. And
All
then
right.
that's how I
Okay.
film.
So what genre draws you? What's your favorite genre
My favorite genre, like to watch or to write?
to write? Tell me
Everything.
both. Tell me both.
Everything is my favorite. I feel that I shouldn't dictate the genre, but the story should tell me what it wants to be, what sandbox it wants to be told in. Because
Okay.
each sandbox comes with different toys. So that's pretty much how I go. And I do want to create within every genre or story space. I want to work with a bunch of different mediums. But as far as what is my favorite, like go to, it would
Mhm.
probably be horror. Just
My
like a go
girl.
to watch.
I
I
think
can
we
only
talked
wear
about
daddy
that a
long
little bit.
legs this weekend, okay?
My girl, not that many of us. Yes.
I
Yes.
think that people sleep on Black women in horror. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how many Black women are horror fanatics and
Mhm.
just how we stand for horror. Like,
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
haven't met a lot of Black women that do not like horror. Like, I think we love, at least for me, I'll speak for me. I'm not gonna speak for every Black woman, but for me, that heightened sense, that edge on the seat, when
Yes.
I'm home, I can scream at the TV. You know what I mean? It's so palpable, the energy that you can engage with the
Okay.
horror.
All right. So wait, let me get a little deeper. I want
Yeah.
us to get a little deeper. To me, horror movies are also spiritual.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I
Maybe.
I get that. I would say my horror experience. So
Mhm.
obviously I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So that's a different kind of horror. And then you have the late
Right.
90s to 2000, which was its own little journey of horror, which I skipped out on.
Right.
But the meaning behind horrors, and I think it speaks even more than just spirituality, is
Yeah.
just the meaning. I think for me, the film that changed it was The Babadook. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I watched it and I took a really long break from watching horrors, but I watched that film. The
Mhm.
first day I watched it 3 times in a row. I the f Just the
Wow.
layers of that horror film and just how that film director, expressed grief throughout it in such a horrific, very real, very feminine way, it
Yes.
reignited my love for horror a lot, and I really saw
Yes.
horror as a really great method of talking about things that are scary to talk about.
Mhm.
Talking about our mental, our spiritual, our religion,
Right.
our
Right.
self-hatred, like, all of that can exist in horror film and be so relatable to such a broad audience. So it makes sense that it's such a popular
And
genre.
Babadook has so many pockets. Like you said, you watched it 3 times. I watched it 3 times, and every time I see something new.
See something new. I'm just like,
Whether I
"Whoa."
notice the
I'm blanking on the
lighting,
director's name, but she, and she did that as a short film first. Um, it was just brilliant. It was really
it
brilliant what she did.
it was. Okay,
What's your
so
favorite?
now I wanna hear about your stuff.
Oh, okay. I wanna
Tell
hear
me
your favorite
about,
horror film, though.
do you wanna tell me about, something recent or something you wanna work on? Do you have something out now?
I do have something out now.
Okay.
I have this short film called The Other Partners that's out right now. It's doing its festival run. It's doing its thing. It
Yes.
premiered at River Run in North
Okay.
Carolina. And is a short comedic film about a boyfriend who finds his girlfriend's dildo in a kitchen drawer before a dinner party. And so it's a lot of fun. It was a great excuse for me to have fun with a bunch of dildos in different ways. And I did some magical realism a little bit with it, and we just had a ball. It was really, or we had balls, if I
Wow,
can
I
call
love my filmmakers. Oh my god, you guys are awesome. Yes, yes. Okay,
it.
so how did you come up? Where did this come from? Where did that idea come from?
It came from, I told you earlier, like I am from a very religious background, and
Mm,
so
mhm.
masturbation was just like, I don't know why. I was talking to some friends about this last night. I feel like masturbation is like, for some reason, even though it is never explicitly said in the Bible, it is like
Right.
the number one sin for all Christians over everything. And I find that very, very interesting, that all out of all of them, that one seems to be the most condemned with women, is
Wow.
masturbation.
Mhm.
And so I knew I wanted to talk on a subject that was uncomfortable. A lot of women, I'm going to close this door real quick because this dog is barking.
I tell you, the life of a filmmaker.
Right? So, yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of women are uncomfortable talking about their sexuality. I know there's that huge orgasm gap that exists between men and women, and it really does fall down to what women are allowed to learn about their own bodies and what they're allowed to explore in their own bodies and the
Mhm.
control that they're allowed to have over their bodies. And so I knew I wanted to do a film about that. And I had a situation where my father found a dildo of mine, and so I knew I wanted a hilarious situation of someone you don't want finding your dildo. Um, and in this case, the boyfriend is one of those guys you do not want finding your dildo. And you learn that very, very quickly in the film. And so that
Wow.
one is out there doing its thing. I am in development on a psychological thriller as well as
Okay.
a coming of age drama. And I am currently in a film fellowship funded by Issa Rae's management company, Color Creative. And that's
Okay.
a Find Your People program. And it's me and 27 other filmmakers, and we're all set to make a film for 50K. And so that was the script I was telling you about earlier when we were chatting of what I was working on today.
Wow.
So that's
Okay,
me in
now,
a nutshell right now.
okay. So Destinee started talking about being a nanny.
Oh, because you work with children. And I was like, oh, I'm an outdoor educator and I used to be a nanny.
So tell me about what being a nanny
Mm.
did for your creativity.
I completely healed it. Like I was saying earlier, I did all this stuff. I was writing all this stuff in Dallas where I moved from. And then I moved out here to LA, and LA is never it's very to hit the ground running. Like, you are blessed and highly favored if that is your situation when you move to LA. My situation, I moved and my apartment was like taken back, and the job I moved for did not really exist. And
Okay.
so I had a very long period, about 5 years of struggle, a whole year of unemployment. But in that year of unemployment, I started just saying yes to everything. And one of the things I said yes to was a nanny position with a filmmaker. And at that time, I will say I did not really care for children at all.
Okay.
But unemployed for a year in LA, you need a job, whatever you can get. And this filmmaker happens to be someone that I actually look up to and admire. And his partner at the time is also a filmmaker I admire. So it was just like, I'm going to say yes to this because I need financial stability.
Right.
And it was like nanny diaries. Like, I got hired and they went off to do their films, and it's just me and the girls that I just met for like a whole month. And so those girls, they try not to tear. Those girls mean a lot to me. They really they brought me closer to God. I had to start praying more to create space for myself, to
Mhm.
deal with such young children. They were 4 and 7 when I started. And just the play, the honesty, the closeness, because pretty soon the pandemic happened. And so we
Right.
were just our little hub. They really just cracked open my heart. And I think that's the best way to describe it, is that my heart
Mhm.
expanded. And with that expansion just came a love for nature, which led to my outdoor
Wow.
education. And after 8 months of being with them, I just started writing in a way that I've never written before. And things just started pouring out, from just, I think, really just having that play, like being able to play and being able to essentially redo my childhood in the way that I needed to be taken care of as a child. I can give that to these children while also gifting inner little Destinee that as well. And I think the
Mhm.
combination of all of that really healed me for that next evolution of my creativity and in me as a person. And so I do not nanny anymore. I nannied for like just a few years for different filmmaking families. And then I was like, I'm just either, it came those times, I feel like you come up across those times where you have a plan B, you're always going to need a plan B. And it was, I either need to be a career nanny or I need to be what I came out here to be and be a filmmaker. And so I quit and for 6 months had absolutely nothing. And I just trusted and kept praying. And then I landed into dub directing, which is like a little niche style of directing where you dub over foreign content with English voice actors.
Gotcha.
And so I just started doing that, and that's what I've been doing. But yeah, those girls, they are my heart. I think there's something about also just like growing up in a black family that's from the East Coast and from the South. I think it was very rewarding and interesting to see how other families work, especially families from various different cultures, like
Mhm.
how the
Mhm.
mom interacts with the children, how the father interacts with the children. And it really expanded my mind of how fathers can treat their daughters, how mothers can treat their daughters in ways that I didn't experience or maybe I did,
Mhm.
um, and ways that I shouldn't have experienced or ways that I should have experienced, you know? So it was really like a very long case study. Um,
Mhm.
but seeing those relationships, I think, did a lot of like unpacking and healing for me through that
It
period.
sounds like it. Like your energy shift is incredible and just talking about it.
Yeah, it
Your
was
energy like
like
leveled out like
it's life.
yeah,
In the
I like
outdoors with
that.
the students, I'm really blessed that I get to work with this organization called Outward Bound Adventures, and it's all
Mhm.
BIPOC led, and it's for BIPOC communities to introduce BIPOC youth and BIPOC families to outdoors for free. And I also work with a private school whose mission is the same thing, but they serve private school kids.
Wow. Nice. Nice. So, I like that you're saying you're a filmmaker, but you're involved in community, guys. Be
Yeah.
involved in community also. That does help with creativity,
It
you know?
so helps. I'm very lucky that what I'm involved with in community is nature. Like I have a once a month hike meetup for creative women of color, and we all
Mhm.
hike together. And they build community and they network with one another. And that's what I want for me. So it's just like
Mhm.
finding those moments of where I can create those situations for not only me, but for others. But I do
Okay.
think it's important, especially as an artist, to find something outside of your art because the art
Mm.
can be hard.
Yes.
The art can
Yes.
be taxing, the art can be hurtful. And it's nice to have something else that you can go to when this is being the funky stepchild. Well, let
Great
me not say
advice.
stepchild.
Great advice. Great
Um,
advice.
yeah, and so I do think it's important if it serves the community, even better. I don't think it has to. Um, I just happen to be serving the community in that way. I just think it's important to have something outside of it that fulfills you
Right.
just as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. God,
You gotta
this
live life,
interview is beautiful.
you know? You gotta
What
live
do
life
you
in order to create, so I just feel that, having your life outside of your art is very, very important because art
That's
imitates
very
life, life
important,
imitates art, you know?
and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. What do you want your work to say to your audience? What
Wow.
do you wanna teach? What do you
Um,
want us to feel?
One, I want Black women to feel seen. I want them to feel heard and understood, and that they're represented in an accurate, not a, I won't even say an accurate way. I can't even speak, but a
Mhm.
multifaceted way. I want
Okay.
them to be able to see all colors of existence within Black women and within the Black culture and BIPOC individuals. I want the collective, to have a generational trauma healing, like especially as Black people, there's so much within our DNA, our epigenetics that we have no choice but to hold on to. But I do
Right.
believe that things like art help us release onto that.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
Can you repeat that? Can
I
you
don't know if I
repeat
can.
that for the people? Art helps us to release
Yeah,
that.
to
Yes.
release our epigenetics and our generational trauma. And just to I'm all about the collective and what is going to move us forward, and whether that is through us having collective laughter for 90 minutes and just having that release, or if it's us sobbing for 2 hours, like it's what can I make you feel to reflect in your life and within your community and take action towards something. That action doesn't have to be save the world. I don't do films about saving the world, you know,
Mhm.
but whatever that looks like for you, whatever that action is, whether it's like calling, I've recently have experienced grief, so now a lot of my work has grief in it. So whether it's like calling a loved one to tell them you love them, or making sure you
Mhm.
hug someone before you leave, you know, things like that. I think it's our job as creatives to create the space and to hold the container for our audience to have that experience that can be reflected back in their lives. Um, and I don't think it has to be some grand, life-changing
Mhm.
film. I
Right.
think it can be as simple as a boyfriend finding a dildo in a girl's drawer and shaming her for it, and a woman seeing that and saying, "I'm not gonna feel shame for that.
That's
I'm not
right.
gonna let, my religious background make me feel shame for that, for what my body is feeling, you know? I'm not going to feel embarrassed about pleasure for myself, because pleasure of life has so many aspects, and it's not just sexual, and
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
people to have the pleasure of life. So somewhere
Wow.
around all those clouds of thoughts is an answer.
I'm like really digging this conversation. Wow. You're teaching me.
Oh, thank you. I
You're
appreciate
teaching
that.
me. And we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to learn, leave check ego at the door and learn
Check
from each
ego
other.
at the door.
You know,
Yeah.
I
And
love
in the
learning from younger people.
yeah,
You guys are like the best to me.
in the fellowship, I'm really like, there's some people that I've been leaning on and really learning a lot from my peers, and that's been really great through this fellowship, is like
Mhm.
remembering your peers are also your teachers.
Right.
Even those who are, I don't want to say below, it's not below, but even those coming up behind us can also be our teachers. I had in one of my Dove projects recently, we had a Berkeley student sitting in and shadowing, and I would ask her questions and let her participate, and just because she's younger than me, she was
Mhm.
like, no, they would not say that. You know what I mean? And it's, but having an ego, I'd have been like, no, we're doing this, but not
Right.
having ego, I'm like, please tell me
Yeah.
how people talk today.
Right. Right.
You know? And things like
I have a new assistant, and he goes to LSU,
okay.
and I'm so glad he's here because these young kids could teach so much, you
Yes,
know? And I try
yes.
to tell adults, like, show them respect, you know, teach them to love and nurture. Like, we're not in competition with these kids. We're supposed to be building, not competing with
No, not at all. Because also what I can do is different from what you bring and what you can
them.
do, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? So there
Mhm.
is, I am constantly having to tell myself that I will be transparent and vulnerable. I think it's really, really easy as a creator, as anyone, especially with social media, seeing things to get in your mind, in your head space
Mhm.
about, where you are and where you're not, or what you're not bringing or what you are bringing. And it's important to try and remember, like, what I'm bringing is me, and me is a whole lot of uniqueness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one
Yes.
can do Destiny, you know what I mean? No one can do Corona. And so it's remembering, like, what someone else got ain't for you.
That's right. You
Okay.
hear that, youngins? What someone else has is not for you.
Yes, it's a clear
Okay?
sign it ain't for you.
Okay.
But you can aspire and you can let it
Right.
inspire, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Destinee, thank you so much for
Thank you for
joining us
having
on
me.
Black Filmmakers Matt. Girl, I wanna talk to you some more.
We can
Please come back. When you finish finish working on your fellowship or in mid working on it, I wanna
mhm.
hear more about that.
Thank you. I would love to come
I
back
think
and tell
others
you.
should hear more about that.
Yeah, I will. I'm really excited about it. I think we're creating something really special.
Black Filmmakers Matter, everybody. Destinee Stewart,
Yes.
filmmaker, writer, awesome, awesome woman.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.